So in this video, we are really focusing on slope, specifically finding the slope from a graph. Okay, so what does the word slope mean to you? What do you think that word slope means, if you don't already know? Just in everyday lingo, slope. So slope is kind of like steepness, okay? So this is problems we're going to be doing in this video. So it's kind of how steep is the line, okay? Slope is kind of like how steep is it. So obviously, if you're running up, okay, so there you are, you're running up this line, or you're running up this line. So which hill would you rather run up? Okay, which one's easier to run up? This one. So the slope or the steepness is less on this. This one has a higher or a greater steepness. It has a greater slope. It's more steep than this one. Okay, so slope is a fancy word in math for basically how steep the line is. Okay, so kind of in your own words, you can think how steep the line is. So that's what I think of when I think of slope. It's just how steep the line is. How steep is it? Now, the proper definition is that the slope is the rate of change, so the rate that it changes. The rate of change between any two points on a line. Okay, so for example, going back to the first graph we're going to look at. So you have to find where the line is actually going, like through the graph, you know, like the checkered. So it goes through right there. Because if you just like picked right there, that's not we can't pick that point where this is -1, -3. So let's find another one. Not quite here. So it's the rate of change between any 2 points. So it's the rate that this line, the steepness, changes between these 2 points. All right. Other words that you've heard in the past that mean slope, the unit rate. So you learned about unit rate in 6th grade, I believe. We touched upon it in 7th grade. That's another word for slope. Okay? Growth factor. What's the growth factor? At what rate is it growing? What's the unit rate? At what rate does it change for each unit? Okay? Other words. Change in y. So change in y, how much the y changes, ups and downs, over change in x. Or you might also have heard rise over run. So if you were in advanced, this is a refresher for you, okay? If you're in standard, I understand that this is new for you, okay? So we're going to take it slowly. I'm going to give you background about slope. So slope, it's how steep the line is. It's the rate of change. So at what rate does the line change between 2 points? Between these 2 points, at what rate is the line changing? We're going to figure out how to calculate that today. It's the unit rate. The growth factor, the rate that it's growing at. Change in y over change in x. We'll get more into this when we get into the equation. Rise over run. Rise, how much it's rising, the change in y, over, so it's a fraction, the run, the change in the x. All right, so what else do you need to know about slope? Well, for some reason, I don't know, is S taken for something else in math? Because the variable for slope is m, Okay, you will use this a ton. The variable for slope is m. So when you see m in math, that means slope. Okay? So, slope is rise over run. How much the graph rises over how much it runs. And we're going to get into what that means specifically. Okay? It's going to be how much it rises, so how much you go up to get to that other dot, how much you run. So how much the y changes as we go up, because the y is always the vertical up and down, over the change in x, the run, when you run sideways. So it's rise over run. Okay? It's also change in y, because that's what the rise literally is. It's the change in the y, the up and down, over change in x, so change in y, that's the up and down, how much the y changes when we're going up and down, when you're rising, over when we're running, how much it changes sideways. So you'll see this equation a lot. M equals rise over run. You'll also see M, so slope equals, so change in y. So y2 minus y1. So that just means you take one y value and you subtract the other one over x2 minus x1. Now, I don't want to overload you today. I know we've already done a lot. And for some of you, slope is brand new. So in advanced, refresher. But in standard, this is a lot coming at you. So what you need to take away from this? Slope. Okay? It's how steep the line is. Slope. How steep the line is. It's the rate of change. It's the unit rate. It's the growth factor, unit rate. Growth factor, change in y over change in x. Rise over run. You will get more familiar with this. So how do we find slope? Well, slope, the variable for slope is m. It's rise over run, so how much we go up over how much we go sideways. This is the equation for it that we will get into, not in this video. Do not be overwhelmed by that equation. It's actually quite easy once you just apply it. All right, so the other thing I want you guys to see is we're going to talk about 4 different types of slope. So we have a positive slope, we have a negative slope, we have slope of 0, and we have undefined. So these are the 4 different types of slopes. So let me just draw a coordinate plane for each one. So you got your x and your y axis for each one, and then we'll do an example of each. So this is a lot to take in if this is the first time you're seeing it. So take it slow, write it down, process it. All right, so those are our x and y axes. So I think we'll do green. All right. So this is a positive slope. That's an example of a positive slope. And think about it. If you're down here, because remember, we read graphs from left to right. We read graphs just like we read a book, from left to right, just like you read sentences. So if this is you, and you're running, okay? Are you running up the hill, or are you running down the hill? Okay, obviously you're running up it. You're going up the hill. So it's positive. You're running up. Up is positive, okay? here's an example of a negative slope. Okay, we read graphs like we read words, left to right. So starting from the left, okay, going to the right. So I'm running. Am I running up the line or down the line? Okay, I'd be running down this line. So if you're running down, down is negative slope. So positive slope from left to right goes up. Negative slope from left to right goes down. All right, so a slope of 0, think about it. So slope means steepness. What would a steepness of 0 look like? So you're not walking up a hill, you're not walking down a hill. So a slope of 0 is just a horizontal line. So you need to know that. Slope of 0, horizontal line. It's a horizontal line. Okay? Because think about this. If you're on here and you're walking, the steepness isn't going up or down. It's just staying the same. So the slope is 0. The y and the x, the change in y over change in x, well, the y is not changing. We're not going up or down. Okay, so it's a horizontal line. Okay? And now, undefined. So, what you need to know is an undefined slope is a vertical line. Down the road, we can explain why horizontal slope of 0, undefined, vertical. But basically, change in y over change in x is slope. Well, the y value is changing a lot. We're going up and down a lot. The x value never changes. We never move left or right. So the x value is 0. And you can't have 0 in a denominator. It's undefined. It's error. If you type in anything divided by 0, it's undefined. It's error in the calculator. So positive slope from left to right goes up. Negative slope from left to right goes down. You're running down it. Slope of 0, left to right, straight line. Undefined, vertical line. Now, this is the introduction to slope. So now we're going to practice solving 4 problems. And if you want this handout, just let me know and I can send it to you. We're going to solve 4 problems finding the slope from a graph. Okay? So slope, rise over run. Change in y over change in x. So the first step is you must find 2 points that actually go through the grid perfectly. Don't pick this where you can't actually, it doesn't go through that little graph paper. Now, rise over run. So remember, slope. Rise over run. So rise, how much the y is changing, over run, how much the x is changing. Rise over run, or change in y over change in x. So, we read a graph from left to right. So right off the bat, we see I'm running up this line, so it should be positive. It's a positive slope. So rise over run. From this point to this point, so from -3, because that's what the y value is here, to 4, how much are we rising? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now I'm at the y value where the other one is. So we jumped up 7 jumps. Okay, so we rose. We rose 7. So m equals, so we rose 7. Now how much did we run? So run is when you go sideways. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we ran right 4. So our slope is 7/4, 7 over 4. So it's important to know when you're going up and when you're going right, it's positive. If we were going down or left, it's negative. So this is a positive slope, and we did rise, so how much we rose over run, how much we ran sideways. All right, so let's do another one. What's the slope of this line? So slope, what's the steepness? Well, right off the bat, think about it. Is it going to be a positive slope or a negative slope? Okay, it's going to be positive because we read a graph from left to right, and I would be running up it. So if you're running up it, it's a positive. So the slope better be positive. Now, in your answers, don't type m equals on Khan Academy, because I don't think it will mark it right. Maybe it would actually. I don't know. I'm just doing it here because of formality's sake. So the first step, you got to find 2 different dots that are actually going through the coordinate, like through the grid paper. Doesn't matter which 2 you pick as long as they're going through it. So you could pick right here. You could pick right here. You could pick right here. Any of them. Doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer if you count correctly. So then we do rise over run. Always the rise has to be the numerator. The y, how much you go up or down, has to be the numerator. So how much are we rising? Let's just say we're going to do from this one to this one. So this one, the y value is at 0 because like if you think about it, what's the coordinate point here? Well, it's -2, 0. Okay, so x is our -2, y is 0. Here it's -1, 3. So x is -1, y is 3. So how much does the y change if we're going from 0 to 3? It's increasing by 3. So let's check it. Let's go up. So we're rising. We're going up. 1, 2, 3. So we went up 3. Okay, now run. So we're running from, the x was -2 to -1. We're running right 1 plus 1. So the slope is 3 over 1 or 3. Either one is fine. All right, so the next 2, they're going the other direction now. So what does that mean if they're going the other direction? Well, what it means is Miss Fry is up here and we're running. She's happy because we're running downhill now. So if you're running down the line from left to right, you're running down it, it's going to be a negative slope. So this slope better be negative. So let's find 2 points that we can go through. So I see this one right off the bat. And I see this one. Okay. So left to right, you read a graph from left to right. So we start at the left point. Okay, don't start at this one. You start at the left point. So it's rise over run. So first you go up or down because it's rising up or down. So we're going down 1, down 2, down 3. So down is negative. So we went down 3. So the numerators, we rose, we actually dropped 3. So -3 over. Now we're running right. So remember, up and the direction right is positive. If we're going down or if we're going left, it's going to be negative. So from here to there, we're going right 1, 2, plus 2. So the slope is -3 over 2. And you can leave it just like that. All right, so the last one we're going to do. Try this one on your own, just watching it. Just think about it. Try it. Touch your screen, whatever you have to do. Okay, so we read a graph from left to right. So if Miss Fry was up here, she'd be running down, so it's going to be a negative slope. Okay, so M equals, slope equals, so I need to find 2 points where we're going through. Oh, I see the y-intercept at 0, 2. I see the x-intercept at 1, 0. Okay, so I know that Miss Fry said we read the graph from left to right, so I need to start with the left one. So to get from right there to the same height as this, I have to go down 1, down 2. So down, so negative 2. Now how much do I run? I run right, so it's going to be positive. I run right 1. So negative 2 over positive 1, or a slope of negative 2. Okay, so this video was a lot. Okay, you learned or refreshed about what slope was, about the different types of slope, positive, negative, 0 when there's no steepness, undefined vertical line. All right, slope is rise over run, how much the y changes over how much the x changes. And then we learned how to find the slope from a graph. All right, so this is what your Khan Academy is going to look like, 4 problems like this. Try your best. Please reach out to me for help because this is very crucial.